We just got off an Azamara cruise, and we're going to give you our honest opinion on what we loved, what we didn't, plus really give you some great advice on how to get the most out of an Azamara cruise, what makes it special, and what you really need to be aware of before you set sail on Azamara, plus some really great strategies on how to save the most money possible when making your next booking. We were on the Azamara Journey. This was our fifth Azamara cruise. I think it was our second time on the Journey. We did the Journey out of Japan. We were really attracted to this itinerary, which you'll see why in a moment. It's a great itinerary. It's called Islands of the Mediterranean. We sailed September into October 2025. What's really interesting is that we actually got 6 complimentary nights on this cruise. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later how we were able to do that, because that really made this pretty inexpensive, especially for a small ship boutique type cruise line like Azamara.
This was a 10-night cruise that went out of Barcelona and finished in Nice in the south of France. This is what really drew us into this itinerary. So many different islands in the Mediterranean. We had Mallorca, Menorca, Sardinia, Malta, Capri, Corsica, and a little bonus side trip to Tunisia, which was very unique.
One thing that you have to know with Azamara is it is really about the itineraries and the destinations. We'll talk more about the ship, some of the pros and cons that you'll encounter when you sail on Azamara. One of the things they're the best at is putting together great itineraries, plus it's small ship cruising. I always like to describe it like being on a river cruise. If you've ever done a river cruise, it's so easy to get on and get off. It's very, very relaxed and comfortable in that way. There's definitely not a big ship. It's under 700 people on all of the Azamara ships. Let's go ahead with the scorecard, but then we want to break this down a little bit so you understand that this is a 5-point scale. 5 is best. Shockingly, we've never awarded anybody a 5 on internet, but they earned a 5 on internet. It was the best Starlink internet we've ever had. They didn't cap the speed like everybody else, which drives me crazy. It was really nice. We work on board, so for us, it's really critical, but even for everybody else, it was nice not to feel so slowed down. We'll go into a breakdown of the different categories. Our overall was a 4.3, so we definitely enjoyed it, but there's some pros and cons that we're going to share with you, and we really think you need to know these things before you book an Azamara cruise. I think one of the things you need to be aware of are the cabins. We had a regular balcony cabin. The category class was Veranda V1. V1 just is location, so it tended to be really midship, which was nice. For the most part, all the balcony cabins are the same. We weren't in a suite. We have done a suite before, a Club Continent suite, really nice. Those are double sized, but we just went for a regular balcony cabin. It's very comfortable. It's definitely smaller than most of the newer cruise lines. You are dealing with less square footage without question. The ship has been around for a while, so I'm not going to say all the furniture is brand new, but the bed, super comfortable. The AC was awesome, which is not always the case on older ships. Of course, we can talk a little bit about, the bathroom, the shower. That's usually something that sometimes people don't really love, but you need to know this going in.
Yes, I loved the stateroom. I thought there was plenty of room. I loved having a desk. The bed was super comfortable. Pillows great. The only knock really is that shower curtain in that small bathroom. But here, we're not really there to be on the ship anyway. So it's all about the ports. It's all about the itinerary. So it's something we could live with.
But, you're just going to have a smaller bathroom and you sort of live with it. And you need to realize how convenient it is to be on a ship with less than 700 people, to be in these unique ports, the unique itinerary. And really, we'll talk a little bit about cost overall. It's surprisingly reasonable for a more premium line with a smaller ship. So we always like to take that into account. We know we're not paying a huge price for 5-star luxury across the board. So we're able to make some concessions overall. Now, dining is for us one of the most important things. We want to have good food when we cruise. We want to have good experiences in port as well. We don't have every single meal on the cruise ship. We're happy to go out and have a great lunch in port, find a great restaurant, sometimes even a dinner, depending upon if we're staying late at night. Azamara does a great job of doing late night stays. We had several stays where we were late night. Now, we didn't have an overnight on this one, but it's pretty common on many Azamara cruises to have an overnight. Overall, I actually thought the food was better than our last sailing on Azamara about a year ago. Noticeably. Now, look, you can get lucky. Somebody else might in the comments say, hey, I just did an Azamara cruise and I didn't think it was that good this time. Just understand that it depends a lot where you're sailing from, where they're sourcing the ingredients, sometimes who the chef is. There's always a lot of variables. We've done 5 Azamara cruises. They haven't all been exactly the same on food. I think this one was probably our best of 5. We've even done the same ship, but again, depends where ingredients come from. The cook, who knows what the budgets are. Maybe they increase the budget a little bit. It's hard to say sometimes, but overall, really happy with the dinner selection. I found it easier this time to find really good dishes. Breakfast and lunch were pretty consistent overall. One of the things about their buffet area, it's so crowded where the food is. It's super easy to get a seat and a table. That part's awesome. There's a really nice outside deck is where you can eat out there. We did that several times al fresco, but it's an older ship and the design was not perfect for the buffet. So even though there's not a lot of people on board, there's a little bit of bumping into people. Just be aware of that overall. It's not the perfect layout for a buffet area.
Yeah, I love the food also. I think being in the Mediterranean gave them an advantage over the other sailings that we've done. Everything was great. Prime Sea and Aquilina, both the specialty restaurants, super good.
Yeah, the best I think we've had, and relatively reasonable, like $50 per person for each of the specialty restaurants. Specialty dining these days can get really expensive. Now, I know you could say, well, on Viking and Oceania, the specialty dining is included, and you're right. That is true. And we'll talk a little bit about the pricing later. Maybe there's some of that trade-off back and forth, but that's something to be aware of. They also do some special things, which we'll talk about in a moment, like the White Night. There's usually some sea day brunch or two. We had a really great sea day brunch, which was excellent. The first night they did an evening seafood buffet. So a lot of nice things overall. Let's talk about some of the things that maybe weren't perfect for us. We had a really hard time booking specialty dining. I came on this ship super confident. 5th sailing on Azamara. I know Azamara. Don't worry about it. We'll go up at 3 p.m. and we'll book our specialty dining. We went up late several times in the schedules. They kept saying that something was in one room and it turned out it was in another. So there were some mistakes. There's no app on Azamara. It's still all paper. So if you like paper on your daily schedules, you're going to be happy. But we also like things to be in an app because they can fix things. But there are no apps for the moment on Azamara, which I find a little hard to believe. Several times we went to the wrong area. What we found out was we were on a sailing that was also catering to a large golfing group called Perry Golf. Azamara partners with Perry Golf, and they bring on 40, 50, 60, 70 golfers, and they are part of the cruise. It's perfectly fine. However, the groups took over some of the specialty dining. They had all large tables, so there was like virtually nothing available. We were able to book one 8:30 slot. Other than that, they were trying to get us to go on Oz Amazing Evening Night, which we would never do, and also on the White Night. We were able to squeeze in one more night. We checked with them. We got in early and was able to get both. People always cancel. A lot of times you'll go in, they say they're booked out and there's tables. My bit of advice for you is maybe don't book the ones that you'll see on the website that have Perry Golf or something else if you're not a golfer. Or as long as you don't mind that it's going to be a little bit tougher, because 4 other cruises we did, we had no problem. It was always super easy to get, especially dining.
Every Azamara ship features 2 highly anticipated events. The first is the white party. So everybody dresses in white. They have a beautiful dinner on deck, and it was just absolutely lovely. We had perfect weather. It's not always the case. I'll bring it in sometimes if the weather's bad, but our weather was Mediterranean beautiful. And then the other is the As Amazing Evening. We had this event in Palma de Mallorca, and it was a beautiful setting, just a fantastic experience.
Yeah, they're always going to be different depending upon your sailing. Those amazing evenings. They're definitely worthwhile to participate in if you want. It comes with your cruise. Most times they'll take you off the ship, which is really nice. It's kind of fun because you're going somewhere separate. Now, look, if you want to stay on board, you won't have tons of people on board and you can go to that specialty dining. That's also an option. I do have to say something about the White Night. We thought we were pros. Usually in the past, we would show up 15 minutes into the White Night because I didn't want to be right at the line with the buffet. We would get our tables on the upper deck. You're not moving. The ship isn't moving. You're in port, so there's not like there's wind or much sun. However, this was not the case. About an hour before it started, there was a lot of tables already taken. People were holding tables, reserving tables. It was a little frustrating because we got there right on time. There was not a table on either deck to be found. Talk to the crew. They will find you something. The crew asked a few different people, and we just sat with another couple. We had a great time. You may be introducing yourself to a neighbor in this situation, or just show up like 30 minutes early. Get yourself a table. There's another bit of advice. If you do the White Night, I would recommend showing up a little bit early. Grab that table if you need to. If not, you're on a full sailing like ours with some groups, there's no tables left.
There could be competition for resources.
Absolutely. We did have a couple other issues. Again, we want to give you pros and cons. We had an amazing time on this cruise, but I want to give you advice, things that'll help you if you sail on Azamara. We had a port day where we needed to get off the ship for a short excursion. Everybody seemed to have the same time, so lunch was crunched. And they opened it at 12:30, and excursions were starting to depart at 12:45. Well, we went to the patio grill thinking that would be smarter. We sat there, we ordered. It took 40 minutes. We never got our food. The food came within 30 seconds of us having to leave. I would suggest on those days, do the buffet or go to the little coffee shop, the Mosaic Cafe. They got some light sandwiches, some treats, or have a big breakfast and then you don't have to worry about it. Maybe have a little snack at Mosaic Cafe. Again, it depends upon when your excursion time was, but we just missed time. We're veterans of this, and you still can mess up. If you're in a rush, don't go there. Speaking of, we talked a little bit about internet earlier. Highly recommend it. Just understand that if you're getting internet for a device, it's usually a device. If you want to switch, you can. Some of them are a lot easier to switch to other cruise lines. Not the best. If you want to add a second device, they do charge you more. Also, if you want to upgrade to streaming and higher speed, they charge you more. The upgrade's not bad. It's like $7.95 a day. So if your plan already has basic Wi-Fi, the upgrade to streaming is pretty reasonable overall. Like I said, for the speed, which was phenomenal, but really it's the type of thing that makes us continue to want to book on them if we can get that type of speed. Because again, we do work as we go. So for us, it's very important. But just realize, typically, if you're getting it with your booking or a package, many times it's just for a single device and it's basic.
Here's how to beat the crowd in the main dining if you feel like the ship might be pretty full. Don't go after 7. Go early, either 6:30, or after 8 p.m. And you should be able to walk right in and get seated fairly quickly. If you go between 7 and 8, it's going to be busy and you may have to wait in line.
The waits aren't terrible. They'll give you a pager, but you could wait 15, 20 minutes. We never had a problem. I think one time ever in 4 sailings did we ever get a pager. This time we tried the first couple nights, like Monica said, after 7 o'clock, and it was a wait. Again, groups were moving all at that time. They were having drinks and then shifting to dinner, taking a lot of the tables, smaller 2 and 4s were being put together for large tables. So it was difficult. However, when we went 6:15, 6:30, 6:45, we typically got right in. In fact, it was super quiet at 6:15, 6:30, no problem, tons of open tables. By the time we left, it was packed. Or just go later, if that's okay with you. That would be definitely our suggestion to avoid the crowds. People ask sometimes, you absolutely can sit on your own every single night. Sometimes they'll ask if you want to share. If you are the type of person that wants to share, go for it. But if you're not, just say no. It's never a problem to get a 2-top, a 4-top, etc. Easy for sure. We never had a problem going al fresco in the buffet. We fight for tables and chairs on some cruises. So this was really pleasant. I don't think you'll ever fight for a chair.
Deck chairs included. We had beautiful Mediterranean weather and never had to fight to find a chair to sit in the sun.
Now, we want to tell you what we paid. We paid $34.85. And that's a crazy price because this was 10 nights on a more upscale cruise line. Normally, this is more like double that. The way we did it is we got 6 nights for free as part of their loyalty program. When you get to Explorer Plus, they give you free nights. And if you continue to sail on them, you get more free nights. So we cashed in our free nights, basically. So we only had to pay for maybe 4 nights or so is how it got prorated, which is why we paid so low. But we want to give you some tips on how to save some money. While it may not get you to this price on a 10-night cruise for 2 people on this type of cruise line with a lot of inclusions, by the way, this came with a beverage package. Now, it's a sort of basic beverage package. It came with 1 Wi-Fi connection. Gratuities were included. We really only paid for our specialty dining and upgrading the internet, of course, excursions. But we also had an onboard credit, which paid for a good chunk of our excursions. So that was really nice. We didn't leave with a big bill. I know there's a lot going on this screen. You may want to take a screenshot of this. This is going to tell you how Azamara compares with other very similar cruise lines. I realize this is not perfectly apples to apples. There are differences in Oceania, Seabourn, Silver Sea. Azamara is not really meant to be Silver Sea. But I always tell people, understand what you're getting for the price. You get a lot for the price. This green bar here is the standard average rate for a balcony cabin across all Azamara sailings. It's about $890 or so, okay? That's going to be for 2 people in balcony cabin. So, of course, if you do ocean view or inside, you can even pay half that. But that's pretty close to all-inclusive outside of what we mentioned, shore excursions, internet upgrades, your specialty dining. Most everything else is included. What's here is what I call my value line. This is when I took the top 100 of cruises by price, and what did they average out to? $672 for 2 of you per night, pretty much all-inclusive. So you can see, yeah, the average is almost $900, but if you focus on where the value is on Azamara, you can get a pretty great deal. And many times this comes with onboard credit as well from Azamara, as well as from a travel advisor like us on top of what you're already getting here. So you can see the only comparable really is Oceania. They're a touch more expensive on their standard rate, about $905, and their value rate, their top best 100 sailings that they have is about $689, Oceania, right? So inclusions are very similar overall. There's a little bit of differences, but that's your best comparison. Viking, your average is going to be about $1,300, so quite a bit more money overall. Their ships, no question, are nicer. They just are. They're newer, they're nicer. The good thing about Viking is if you focus on the top 100, you can get the pricing down under $750. They do have some value sailings, even though their averages are high. Some of that's because they do some expeditions, so it averages up. There's a lot of good sailings where you can get a really nice rate overall. Doesn't include gratuities. Just keep that in mind. In the US, when you book with Viking, gratuities aren't included. It's always going to be some differences. Now, when you get to Explora, they keep their pricing pretty similar across the board. You don't see a lot of deals, but for what you get, which is virtually everything, multiple devices on Wi-Fi, all your specialty dining, this is a secret spot right now, I think, in the close to luxury segment.
They're a suites only ship as well.
So consider them for sure. They may surprise you. Seabourn and Silver Sea, I won't cover them in a lot of detail. Again, can be very expensive, but you can still find some sweet spots if you're looking for value. And we help people with this all the time, get on some of these great cruise lines, but save a lot of money. All right, we also kind of suggest maybe consider an Azamara. Their packages. They got a couple packages. The Essentials package is really nice. It does cost you some money, $799 typically, but they include shore excursion credit, upgrades to unlimited Wi-Fi, a premium beverage package, a spa credit. So when you start to add all that together, it's worth way more than $799. Their Experience More, same thing. Even more shore excursion credit. They give you some spa credit, beverage package. So if you're going to use most of what you see on the screen, I would highly recommend you buy one of these before your cruise. A lot of times on board, they will also offer it to you as well. Take advantage of it. I added all these up, and it's easily worth several $100s more. Would we book Azamara again?
Absolutely. No. What we love about Azamara, first of all, the beautiful itineraries. Second of all, small ships being able to get into small ports. It also makes for a very unique itinerary. We like the size, no more than 700 people on board. And the food is really good.
Food is subjective. We've run this channel for a long time, and sometimes we'll give something a great review on food, and some other people will say, oh, I didn't think it was very good. That's totally fine. It's subjective. It's really up to you and your taste. I think in general, most people will be happy with it, especially the price that you paid if you're finding value. Again, we're not paying Silver Sea prices, so maybe we have a little different expectation. However, I think typically it is going to be better than your contemporary lines like Princess and Celebrity, which has very good food, but I think it's a notch above that. And Royal Caribbean, the convenience of a small ship, it's really hard to beat. There are some trade-offs. It's not a new ship. None of the Azamara, there's 4 of them, are new. But you remind yourself when you're like, oh, this wasn't the fanciest, shiniest. Remind yourself what you paid and how easy it is to sail with only 600 to 700 people. We've given you some great advice on what to do once you're on board the ship to make it even better. Some quick tips on how to do this. Book early, join the loyalty program. Unfortunately, they no longer have status matching with Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. They used to be owned by that same group. That's how we got jump-started. We got to a much higher level much quicker because we had really great status with Royal and Celebrity. And that's no longer there, but start to earn some loyalty perks. Even in the beginning, you're going to get some cool perks. One of the best perks they give you, by the way, is if you decide that you like Azamara and you want to book again, always book on board. Even if you have a great travel advisor like us, you should always book on board because they will give you at least 5% off the best rate, 6%, 7%, even up to 10% off. That adds up. Plus they give you bonus onboard credit you cannot get anywhere but on the ship. In addition, you get any other savings, any other onboard credit, plus whatever your travel advisor will throw your way. So always book on board. Do your first one and then do your second, third, etc. on board for sure. All right, so final verdict, 4.3 out of 5. Pretty high for us overall. We really were happy with the sailing. The itinerary was awesome. By the way, we can help you book your next Azamara cruise or really any of your favorite cruise lines. We've sailed most of them, most of the lines. We'll personally help you find the right line, the right ship, and the right sailing. We want to get you the most value. We're not looking for cheap, but we just kind of want to maximize what you get. Even if you're on a luxury 5-star cruise, we still want to get you the best deal overall. You can go to that link there, and one of us will get back to you with a personalized quote.
Let us know. Have you ever done an Azamara cruise? If so, what did you think? Put it in the comments below. Also, do you maybe have an Azamara cruise booked? Do you have something coming up? Let us know where it is and when. Just put it in the comments below.
If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer any of those as well. If you want us to help you decide between Azamara and Oceania, etc., we're going to put a link, some videos on the screen where we did a comparison between Viking, Oceania, and Azamara. Very, very popular video. So you'll definitely want to check that out where we break it down further. So with that,
we'll see you out there.
We'll see you out there.